Hey guys, I wanted to talk about something else that was hard to find on the internet for me. Shout out to H2O plants because I ordered a bunch of them for the plant mist stuff. Um, Dwarf four-leaf clover. Do I trim them? All these sprigs. When you first get dwarf hairleaf, my bad. When you first get dwarf four-leaf clover from H2O or anywhere else, you're gonna have a bunch of clovers that look like, well, this looks kind of sorry. They've been disintegrating, and I have a platy who eats them a lot. You're gonna have a whole bunch of big, tall clover, just busting with clovers, and then they might have a couple of these little things at the bottom, and you'll be like, well, what are those? Well, this is what they are. When you look up dwarf four-leaf clover anywhere or on YouTube, they show a bunch of these round ones like this that are big, but this is dwarf four-leaf, and it is Marcellia, however you pronounce that, Marcellia crenata is what it says. There's my little baby fry back there, chilling. But when you get these, you're gonna get a bunch of big, giant things like that, and they're gonna have these little pot seed looking seeds at the bottom of them. Some of them will be black. I had one that had a lot of black stems and black seeds at the bottom, and I did go ahead and plant it, and they ended up, kind of looking like this. But as an experiment, what I did was I left the clovers on some of them. Some of them I clipped them all and mowed them down. Now in the back here, if I can focus, way back here, you can see the little spikes. I mowed those down. I chopped them down. I chopped those big stems down. Some of this one, I planted a little plug under here, and you can see all the little new sprouts. They're doing good. But I mowed some of these down because they were, like all over the place on the driftwood here. These right here, I didn't clip the clovers off. I have a little koi platy that pecks at them and eats them. And there's my little Cory back there. So if you're wondering, should you chop these all off or trim these and just leave the bottom part? In my experimenting, I would say maybe don't trim them. I've asked people to, but you'll get like maybe one person that'll say, I just leave them there, don't trim them. And then you'll get some people will be like, I chop them down. These are doing really good. See all those right there? I didn't trim those. A couple of these I trimmed off, but I mean, they're doing pretty good there. This bunch here, as you can see, didn't really trim those off. I kind of left them. And the sprigs are rotting off by themselves. Now, sometimes if one of them's brown at the bottom and falling apart, I will go ahead and clip it. Because, I mean, these things are all over the tank now. I'm finding these against the pre-filter there. And this, like this Java moss here, if it'll focus, if you can see it. This Java moss, you can see those straight grassy strands in there? Those needle strands? Those are strands of this. This crap gets everywhere. There's some up at the top near the filter. They get up at the top of the glass. I have a habit. I don't fill my water all the way to the top. So whenever I trim hair grass or anything, it goes to the top, and sometimes it sticks up here because my water level goes down a little bit. My water level kind of drops by itself. I have trimmed some of the hair grass, the giant hair grass here. I trimmed some of that off too because it was like really giant. I trimmed mostly the parts that had the extra sprig growing off the top. And it's growing more of them. But as an experiment with the giant hair grass I got from H2O plants, it was also immersed. Some of them I've trimmed and knocked down. Some of them I knocked a little bit down off the top. Some of them I left. Way in the back there, I completely knocked that down. I mowed that down. Just like I mowed this dwarf hairgrass down here. This dwarf hairgrass was plugs and pieces I found from all over the tank and just put over there because it doesn't really grow anywhere else. Over here is the one sweet spot where it grows a lot. Now I have plugged H2O plants root tabs. I have plugged a root tab under here. I have plugged one under here somewhere. You know, I mean, I have one plugged under there. But you see, I didn't trim these 4-leaf clovers, and I didn't trim these 4-leaf clovers, and look how much is popped up from those. And they will shoot some runners, like, it's so hard to, I can't really zoom in. I got a crappy camera. You see this little root at the bottom and the little end piece here, and then you see the little piece coming out. It's all curly. They will send these little, here's one. Okay. Now, you see the little curly piece at the end coming out? This is 2 little shoots here. That's what it'll do. If you leave these alone, they will grow these. Now, yeah, you have this and it's ugly. Just leave it. I mean, I'll do a YouTube video talking about something and I have this little crap growing everywhere. But I mean, just leave them. It's okay. They'll rot off. They're not going to waste your water quality. If you do water changes and stuff like you're supposed to, and when you find little pieces floating around, just grab them with a net. Now, it's hard to grab hair grass and these sprigs. It's hard to grab that with a net because it'll fall through the net. So like as you're grabbing them with the net, little pieces are also going through the net because they're smaller than the holes. But whatever. You kind of just sort of get good at that. Yeah, if you don't trim these off, look how much stuff keeps growing out of it. There's my little dude. Oh, I think he's about to start charging up my plants again. This dude loves eating my plants, man. I don't know if it's a girl or a boy. I call him a him, but he just loves eating. He's gonna go eat the hair grass. Watch. This dude loves S-repens and he loves hair grass. That's what he loves. And I just trimmed the top of the hair grass, so he's going to go mow it down. I think that's why I can't grow hair grass, because this dude here just goes up and like eats a piece off of each little piece. He goes up to my S-repens and he completely chews up like just a little piece of each one. Just enough to kill that piece of the leaf. And turn it brown. There's my new ram. Yeah, he tell you what, man, mystery snails don't eat plants. Ha, that's so funny. Alright, well, I'm almost 8 minutes, so this is a really long video already. I had to switch from, apparently my camera was in Ultra HD before, so it would cut off at 5 minutes. Now it cuts off around a little over 10 minutes. I usually get cut off at the end of my last sentence, but it's whatever. I just upload anyways, because some of this is good info you might want. This crap down here is land moss from outside. I don't know if it will grow or not. We went over to my brother-in-law's house, and his next door neighbor had this little stuff here. Right there, this stuff was growing in little clumps, like dwarf baby tear looking clumps like everywhere. So I figured, well, let me plug some in the water and see if it grows or not. I'm sure it won't, but whatever. If it grows, it grows. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I've planted ditch plants and stuff from outside before and they've been fine. And yeah, but dwarf, there's some right there. You see, I didn't trim those. There's the dying pieces dying off. I didn't trim those. It's still got all that crap in there. It's ugly, but I mean, look at the little sprouts, how pretty they are. You're just going to have this ugly, rotting parts at the top. Just leave it. The parts that I did, like this one here, I trimmed and knocked those all down, but it seems kind of stunted. So honestly, do I trim or do I not trim the old crap off of it? I would say just try to leave it. I mean, you could plug a couple of them, couple plugs in, and just, you know, not do them or whatever. But I mean, just You don't have to trim them, just leave them. They will spread by themselves. A little runner will go out and it'll just keep making little sprouts. Some sprouts are kind of long, some are short. In your tank, they might look like teardrops like this. In my tank, they mostly look like little paw prints. But I mean, look at that. Look how pretty that is. And they're spreading. So they'll spread around by themselves. Some of my spots have a lot of gravel and stuff, so you know, they have to move around that. And I capped everything with black sand, so if I see a runner growing kind of like this, if I see runners growing out and they are growing along the top, I just throw a little extra sand over them. I have kind of like a empty Coke bottle type bottle, a little plastic bottle, and I'll just pour a little tank water in it. I'll drop a little bit of new black sand in it. I'll shake it up real good, and I'll rinse it a couple times, add a couple drops of prime, shake it up some more, and then I'll go in there and I'll drop some sand on stuff. And I constantly add a little bit of sand here and there, so to keep things underground. Anyways, whoa, dwarf hairleaf clover. Do I trim it or not? I wouldn't. I would just leave it. If you want to experiment, only trim a couple. Leave the rest.